Yeah, I thought the biggest thing for him was that he got out of his comfort zone. You know, he wasn't going through a drill or taking a rep to not be wrong. You know what I mean? Like, geez, I don't want to make a mistake here. He was going through it to try to be great at it. And so I think his appreciation for trying new techniques and taking coaching, and he always was a phenomenal kid, but just really allowing to trust yourself in a moment where it's stressful and you kind of force yourself to do something a little bit different or trust the technique I think it really helped him during the spring. If he didn't take a jump, I don't think he would have held off Sampson to this point. So it was good, and I appreciate that in him. It's hopefully what you see a senior will be willing to do, and he's done a really good job of that.
I know we had media before the big deal with Paul taking back the calling responsibility. You're still doing all that stuff. Besides coaching the offensive line, you know?
Yeah, it really doesn't change. The whole thing doesn't change a whole lot. Last year was just, I think you get through it and you're like, damn, that's a lot of stuff to do. And what I didn't like was that I couldn't really help the line and adjust things that I could adjust between series. And you're trying to listen, okay, what are you guys liking in the pass game? Like, I know what I like in the run game. I could get them ready for that. I can hear a protection and go, hey, guys, this pressure that we're going to fit the run on. Now, same thing. If it's pro, normal down and distance, we got to do this. It was just a lot to kind of manage on a game day, you know? And so, no, I like it. I always like when Paul's coaching and into it. Like, it's good. It's good for the program.
Joe, you mentioned Caden, especially in the spring, coming back from that injury, having a good spring for him. What are the steps he's taken to really own that center position? How much you guys put on that position to control the line?
I would say the same thing, you know, as I would say about Selch. You know, like he has gotten out of his comfort zone. He has tried techniques and tried to work details that I think, you know, maybe not quite willing to work last year, trying to stay healthy, and you know what I mean. Your expectation for yourself changes, and I think that was a reality for him during the spring, and it's got to stay, because same thing. If he wasn't willing to do that, he's really going to get pressure from a Bordellini or a Tippmann, and that's why I think, like, if the competition is what I think it can be, it's really going to help the guys hitting that field to have a lot of confidence by the time we get through camp.
Sure. Paul kind of mentioned him being one of those guys that he's expecting to be able to lift the rest of the offensive linemen, helping them out. How have you seen him maybe this summer start to do that?
Are you talking about Caden?
Yeah, Caden.
Yeah. I just think it's a connection, a trust. You know, I think he's done that kind of all along to a certain extent, but I think he's again got out of his comfort zone a little bit. He's a little bit more kind of reserved, you know, and he is always locked in to give himself the chance to be at 100%. And but I think he's kind of got himself a little bit more attentive to what everyone else is doing, and how do I pick this guy up, and can this call help, and so I think that's endeared him to the group and helped him to kind of just feel more comfortable himself.
Having played here and coached here, obviously, too, can you describe what that was like last year when you were in this building and there's nobody else in the building? And I guess your anticipation level of getting this building filled.
Yeah, I think as a player, I think you really, and shoot, man, even as a coach, you cherish the opportunities to be in front of this fan base, because you know how much they care and they love this program, and you can feel that energy when you go through it. And I think you know, it was tough to not get that feeling, and I think, you know, for some guys and just team in general, like, everyone deals with that differently. Some were able to handle it better than others, but I think they couldn't be more pumped to make that happen this year and to feel that. Like, they are truly excited for that.
So can you take me back to the conversation between you and Paul when you decided to kind of take a step back? You said a lot of that was your idea.
Yeah, I just felt like program-wise, the strongest thing we could do is for me and him to be into it the way we've been into it in the past. And I thought that some of the changes that if we were going to get it, and some things just happened just through staffing and guys coming and going, and like we lose Johnny, who did a great guy and great coach, but when that opportunity opened, I knew some changes we could make would happen at a like it truly would take shape if he had that group. And so I was excited for it, you know, and I was excited for the opportunity to get those things in the works. And I love working with them too. We've done it a long time, and it's a very comfortable situation. I just said it before, the hardest thing game day was trying to help my guys, you know, to adjust. Because, you know, when you play the offense we play, a lot of times you won't know exactly what the plan is until the game. They're not playing a ton of teams that are just like you. And so as the game goes, great conversation on the sideline, helping guys, this is where we're going, these are the runs we're going to come up with next, oh, I'm here and here's the protections. But when you're trying to listen and say, okay, where's the passing game going? Is this what you want to do second and long? Okay, what about, and you're trying to get all the situations mapped out for the next drive, you really lose that piece to be able to help them. And I'm like, that's not fair to them. Like, that's what they need me to do. And I was like, I'm cool. Like, it's never been an ego thing for me. Like, I'm here because I love this place. And, you know, it's very unique to be able to coach these guys. Like, it's a really good group of kids, and I just think that gives us our best chance to win as a program.
Well, the next question, because natural evolution of the coach is position coach, coordinator, play calling, right? Like you were doing all that, so to take yourself at a step really shows humility, right?
I think I've always, I go back to the reason I got into coaching was when I was here, you know, Coach Alvarez, Coach Callahan, Coach Childress, you know, every guy that had, they when you get help to be the best you, when you know what it's like to commit yourself to absolutely becoming the best player you can become, you kind of learn a little model of how to apply that in different areas. And it helped me long after football was over, like the things you do to kind of be the best you. And I want these guys to feel that, you know what I mean? And that's why I got into it. I didn't get into it to, you know, wear a million hats or how many, you know, that isn't it. I want these guys to have an experience where they're truly proud of what they were a part of here, of what they accomplished here. And if you can help them do that, then I think you're in it for the right reason.
When you and Paul came over, it seems like a while ago now, the depth at offensive line wasn't there, the numbers weren't there.
Yeah.
It's a different story as you guys go into fall camp. Can you talk about that process and specifically how you attacked that position on the recruiting front and through development as well?
Yeah, I think I think you really work and you try to find guys that not only are great potential as an offensive lineman, but guys that truly fit your program. I think those two things go hand in hand. It doesn't matter what a kid comes in ranked, it matters how good he is, you know, in his second, third, fourth, fifth year. You know, that's what you're fighting for. And you're fighting for a group that when they're in the room together, they help each other to get better. So they got to have some source of caring about each other, willing to work hard for one another type of mindset. And it's been good. A lot of guys we really identified well before they ever were ranked or had offers, and that was kind of fun. Sometimes it was kind of crazy. You're like, oh, I didn't realize that was going to happen like that. But I just love that the guys that have chosen to be here, chose to be here with knowing everything about this place that was real. You know, like how hard you work, the expectations as a player and as a person, and it's kind of cool because, you know, they're guys that value honesty and they're guys that value hard work, and I think, you know, I'm grateful to be coaching them.
Is there an ideal scholarship number that you like at the position? And then also, how does that balance into being able to recruit at an elite level with offensive linemen across the country? I
think you want to keep somewhere around that 15 is about right, like a 3 deep. Mm-hmm. It's kind of one of the positions where I think 3 deep is correct. And so that's usually the number. And I don't think, honestly, like if a guy's really, really good in this nowadays and age, like he's a top guy, like he may not be there, you know, for all 5 years. And so not that you want to see guys leave early, but you also just want to develop them to their fullest as early as you can, you know, and the guys like who they play with. I think that's important. Like, they love their experience. Maybe a guy, man, you know, could have played a year earlier here, but what they had to experience here is hopefully change who they are long after they they don't wear a helmet anymore. And so I think that's a big piece to what a lot of these guys wanted to be a part of, and it's been that for them.
Joe Paul adding more to his plate.
Coaching in the NFL, and how do you like it?
I mean, the adjustment hasn't been that bad. I think that at the end of the day, football is football. I think the players want to be good and they want to work hard. The thing that I've had to make adjustment to is the time constraints as far as the NCAA rules and things of that nature. But I've been able to adjust, and I really enjoy it. I didn't think that I was going to enjoy it this much, but I really, really enjoy it. It's fun because it's like these young kids, they want to be good and they really don't know much. And so you're teaching them from the ground up, and you get that teacher feeling back, and you're teaching them stuff. And when they do it out on the field, and they see that the things that you're teaching them works, it makes you feel real good. So I'm enjoying the process.
How has the transition been recruiting-wise? Different from the NFL?
Yeah, recruiting. Well, obviously in the NFL, we draft,
Right.
So there's really no recruiting. But I enjoy it. I really enjoy talking to parents, and I enjoy talking to the student athletes. Talking about Wisconsin and what we can offer them as far as an education in football is concerned, being able to talk about a little bit of my background and how I can help them become better players. So it's been really good. Obviously, I've only been here, a few months, but I intend to do my fair share of recruiting here coming up soon.
How did you come out on top in the Braylon Allen sweepstakes?
I think that was all done before I got here. I think that he wanted to be a running back way before I got here. I think maybe me coming in kind of solidified it for him. But he's going to be a great football player, a great running back. He could be a great linebacker. He can be great whatever he wants to do. He's one of those type of kids. I'm just grateful that I'm going to get a chance to work with him first.
The depth chart on this maybe entire team seems pretty well set, maybe except for your group. Do you feel like your group is wide open as you go into the fall?
I think if you really sit back and you're fair, we don't have a lot of guys that have played a lot of football. So I think it's up to me and the rest of the staff to put guys out there in camp, let them compete, and see where they all fall out. I think that's the fair thing to do for not only for them but for the football team.
Gary, how many guys do you want to find? Like, do you want to find 3 guys that you can count on come September 4th, or what's the number you want?
Well, usually, where I come from, usually it's 3 in the league. It's usually 3, so I'm trying to get 3. I think if you get more than 3, there's only one football. So if you go over 3, you get 4, 5, 6 of them. It doesn't really work. So if I get 3 tailbacks and a fullback, I'll be ready to go. I'll be in my sweet spot.
Do you want like a one lead guy though to get the bulk of the carries and have two guys helping him out?
I'd really
or do you want someone split up evenly? Or?
I'd really like to have a lead dog, like a Batman and Robin type situation, but we'll just see how that plays out. If we don't get that lead dog and we got to break the carries up into thirds or in halves, we'll do that. We're going to do what's best for the team. So we're going to let the guys go out here and compete and see what happens.
Gary, a little more tongue-in-cheek, your Twitter presence, for instance. You love talking about the tradition here at Wisconsin, contributing to that tradition, especially at this position. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot because, when you think of running backs, outside of, when you get outside of Wisconsin, you're just sitting around, you talk about running backs in the NFL, you talk about the guys that have come out of Wisconsin and the ones they produce every year. So for me to be here, it's a tremendous responsibility and it's a tremendous honor to try to continue that tradition. So I take it as a great responsibility, and I intend on doing the best I can to continue that tradition.
Has this job kind of rejuvenated you a little bit as far as your career and just kind of getting back to the younger?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has. I think 11 years in the NFL, it's you kind of get into a groove, and you kind of just okay, this is what we do. I think being that these guys are young, right out of high school, they don't know much. Even the ones that are here don't know much. It does rejuvenate you because now you go back into your teacher mode. You go back into the things that, when you first got into coaching. How did you do this? How did you do that? So, yeah, it's a really invigorating, energizing situation to be in. It really is, and I'm looking forward to getting started.
Talking about energy too. Who's going to have more energy, you or the running backs, come week 1 at this full house?
Probably me because of being away from him for a year. Probably me. So I'm looking forward to it. Everybody's told me how this place gets when it's a full packed house and they start playing the music and they jump around and all that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I think you guys have 8 scholarship running backs. That seems like a big number. Is that going to be challenging to balance, especially with 4 of them being true freshmen?
Well, yes, and that's a great question. I mean, I'm learning this college thing, so I didn't know 8 was a lot, so now I know. But we're going to try to balance them as best we can. We're going to try to use the ones that are going to help us win as quickly as we can, and the ones that are up to speed as quickly as we can. But I think if you have 8, obviously we thought all 8 of those guys were good. We need to find a way to get them the ball somehow.
Just tell Paul that 8's not enough.
Huh?
Just tell Paul that 8's not enough.
8's not enough, okay. It's 15, 20 of them.
It's tough to deal with, though.
You're gonna always get his best. And that's what I'm excited about. He'll challenge other guys in our group simply because that's who he is. The competition is just gonna come out.
What young receiver or receivers, sorry if you can ask this, that haven't got a lot of snaps, or fans haven't had a chance to see yet, are you eager to see and why?
I am excited to see the 2 new signees that we have, Marcus and Skyler. Obviously, we've had an opportunity to work with those 2 young men this offseason, and really excited because physically they look the part. Tape, they have a unique skill set. Guys that can make plays, guys that can run. So I'm excited for them, and they are going to be the next generation. They're going to be the next guys that can come in, because this is the last year for Danny and KP. So we're looking for the changing of the guard, so to speak. And those 2 guys are why they're here. And Chim's he's in that same category. So I'm eager to see all those guys continue to ascend, in regards to just developing routine, learning football, situational awareness, and again, the way we practice, the way we play football. So that's what I'm excited about.
Marcus seems like a little bit of a different guy. He's 6'1", 215. Don't normally see guys true freshmen like that come in.
Yeah, I'm again very impressive looking on the hook. And actually, he was 218 the other day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw the roster.
that.
He tweeted the 218. I saw the roster said 215.
Yeah. So that's good clay to work with right there. So.
What specifically about Danny and Kendrick, like when you met with them? You talked about in the spring how they could take the top off the defense and the things they do well, but what did they tell you they wanted to work on, and what did you see that you felt like this is why they can be difference makers, and this is what they can do to get there?
Each of those guys I've had conversations in regards to what I think can help them moving forward, and in Danny's case, and actually this can apply to KP as well. I think the biggest thing is, number one, just being available. Being available in regards to, your health and what steps are you taking, preventative steps, post-practice steps, things that are going to help you. Are you eating right? Are you sleeping well? Because at the next level, that's part of that's who you are as a pro. Doing those things. Secondly, just finding a way to be on teams, special teams, and help our football team in general. And I think that if our younger guys see that they're willing to do this, then it's going to breed more of that, hey, what can I do for our football team? So I think that is a big thing, just being available, special teams. The third thing, I just want them to be confident, be aggressive. Danny's skill set, he's got great ball skills. He knows, great timing, just has a good feel for when the ball's in the air, timing, and he's got aggressive hands. So, and KP, just trust it. You make a release, you take a release, trust the release, and make the correction, within the stem. Just little things like that. But those guys are different, and they've earned the respect of a lot of people here on our football team. So I'm excited that they're available now. and hopefully we can continue to keep them there.
Kind of from the outside looking in, maybe there's 5 or 6 guys that can contribute this year, maybe in your opinion, but realistically, how deep can you go at that group, and how many reps are going to be available with a certain amount of guys?
That's a good question. There's only one football. And,
Right.
Obviously we have our identity of who we are offensively. I think that a lot of that will be determined as we progress in the fall camp and we get an opportunity to truly see guys in their environment competing, and really just how guys can take coaching, how they continue to grow and develop, how they learn from their experiences, how they develop in their routine, their habits, daily. I think a lot of that is going to be a big telltale of how the cream will rise to the top.
I wanted to ask you about Shimmeray.
Really, kids, right? I mean, that's cliche. You guys all are. I don't want to make it sound like he's the only one, but
Put it this way, we would have our recruiting events this summer, and part of the event was a meeting where we kind of go over the offense or over like a group thing, not just tight ends, a group thing. And he would tell these kids in offense all these accolades about Coach Brown and Coach Chris and myself and Coach Whitted, and he would go through our staff on offense. And this guy played here, this guy knows this, coach this guy. We got an Olympian here. You know what I mean? Like all these things, and he wouldn't touch on himself, even though he's the one giving. He would just kind of say where he's from and where he played. And so I would always make it a point the rest of the weekend to find those families, whether you're walking around campus or whatever, and be like, let me tell you a little bit about Joe, okay? Just so because he's so humble, he wasn't going to build himself up, but that just speaks to him.
it's a great idea, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, people don't see that.
It's easy to look at a guy who's had one his play last year and there's a one on, so it's easy to judge. Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Jack's been talked about a lot. Jake mentioned him during Big Ten Media Days. From your perspective, just the jump that he's made from a walk-on to where he is right now in his career.
He always was kind of a yes man, like run 100 yards, yes sir, show up at midnight, yes sir. But where the real switch happened was in his own personal confidence. Because I think when he came in, he knew he belonged at practice. I don't think he knew he belonged in the games. And all of a sudden, one year, he was just like, you know what? I got to believe in myself before anybody else is going to believe. And ever since, he has had this positive, infectious energy. Ask anybody about him in the weight room, at practice, like he could be burying you, and that outside back row go, man, great job, Ash, because they want him to do well. And once he found that belief in himself, man, it just takes off, And it doesn't mean everything's perfect. It doesn't mean he won't get every play right. Like, he'll still have his mess-ups. But instead of getting down on himself and maybe, turn into a shell, like, he'll just, okay, I got to move on, and he'll go on the next play like it's no big deal. And I think that's a huge asset for a young man to find this early in life,
It seems like you got a lot of guys in your group that are on the cusp of taking that next step, on the cusp of almost being there. Who are you looking at? I mean, maybe the entire group that could potentially be that next guy in the 2 deep or even 4, 5, 6 down the line there.
You hit it. I mean, they all bring something to the table that can help us win. Now they're going to bring it out today. It's kind of the thing. But I'd say from Ash, Hayden, Clay, Jalen, Cam Large is a guy that's going to be healthy going into camp. And even Colt Dakovich and Jack Pugh, when they get healthy down the road, like there's not a single one where I'm like, I don't know if he's ever going to make it here. I don't know if he'll ever make plays for us. Like, I believe in all these guys, which I can't say every year. You know what I mean? But it's going to be a really important fall camp because there's limited reps. There's no more 2-a-days. There's no more 3-hour practices. Everything you do has to be purposeful. And if you keep showing those, then you start to get dependent on as a teammate. But my answer right now, and my answer 3 weeks from now will be completely different. There'll be some guys that stand up, and all of a sudden it's like we're going to bat with this group right here.
Last thing here, recruiting-wise, maybe this position was as healthy as it is right now. Would you agree with that assessment that this group is strong and healthy, compared to maybe when you started here, just from a recruiting standpoint and development standpoint as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a good blend now of tight end's a unique position. You don't just want to bring in clones every year, but you need a little bit of diversity. You need guys that believe in our way of doing things, and I feel like we're on a pretty good track with that. And even the young man that is coming in next year, I haven't signed yet, but fits that mold. So I'm really excited to kind of see where these next number of years go, along with pretty excited this year, which is kind of fun as a coach. It makes me work harder.
Thank you.